But yes, I am the director of admission at Mercersburg Academy. I always start with this disclosure that I did grow up in the US, but I didn't go to boarding school. I actually heard about it a little too late. So I work in admission now because I believe in these schools and what they do for young adults. I think it's a really incredible experience, and I found out about it in college with all of my best friends who did attend boarding schools and were raving about those 4 years and still continue to keep in touch with their friends and talk about their experience. So I've really enjoyed my work at Mercersburg. This is the middle of my third year. I spent a lot of time in New Jersey and then made the bold move to move out to Pennsylvania. So I'll give you guys some tips and shed some light on Mercersburg's programming about the interview process, which I know can kind of be one of the most stressful pieces of the application process. So I'm hoping to alleviate a little bit of anxiety with some tips and tricks about interviews. Casual library shot. It's a very pretty campus. So I'll just show some pictures, but I will say, as much as possible, it's a great chance to go to campuses and kind of get a sense for the community. And I think this can happen at three different times. It can happen when you come to interview and speak with an admission counselor, but most schools do offer summer programs. So if you're still at an age where you're not ready to apply to a boarding school, summer programs are a great chance to kind of do boarding school on training wheels, is what I call it. So it can range from 2 to 4 weeks. Give you a taste of what boarding is like. And over the summer, schools do offer tours, so you're able to kind of see the school. But I think it's best to see a school when the student body is present, just because it gives you a feel for the community. All right, so I included this slide because this is our wonderful office at Mercersburg, but more so just to share that there is never going to be an admission office without friendly people that want to get to know young adults. So we're all eager to meet you, and we want you to like us as much as you want us to like you. So know that there isn't like this judgment where we're just going to grill you in a room. I honestly would prefer that these interviews were called conversations, but this is about getting to know who you are. Every admission office will look a little different, but we're all so excited to welcome guests on campus. All right, the interview. So when you come to campus, you can either schedule an interview in person or virtually at most schools, but it's a really good chance to get one-on-one time with an admission counselor. So my biggest tips, be yourself. I think all this means is like, just don't worry about trying to be something that you or someone that you think we want you to be. It's really about authenticity and just showing us why you're interested in an American boarding school. I think it's so brave that you're already considering going to a school in a different part of the world. And we just want to learn a little bit more about what piqued your interest, how you found out about the boarding school experience, and why you chose to visit that specific school. So at Mercersburg, we're pretty remote. We're a medium-sized school of about 450 students. And if you show up and you're like, hey, I love ice hockey, then it's going to be really hard for you to be happy at Mercersburg because we don't have ice hockey. So we just want to make sure that you are finding the right place where you're going to want to spend the next 4, 3, or 2 years of your life. We really do want to get to know about you. So I am someone that feels incredibly uncomfortable talking about myself and just like sharing information without being prompted. So we are going to ask you some questions just to learn a little bit more about you. So just know that and be prepared to maybe feel a little uncomfortable taking a lot of airtime. It's really hard to have an interview with a student that's so nervous that they don't really talk and they just give one-word answers. So just be ready. You can practice that in the shower. It doesn't need to be with your parents. It can just be in the bathroom while you're brushing your teeth in your head. But just make sure that you kind of think like, okay, if someone were to ask me like, how, like what my favorite subject is and why, you can give a little context there. So try to give some meat to all of the questions that are asked of you. But about like 2/3 of the way through the interview, we'll start asking you for questions about us. So we just want to make sure that you've done a little research. We get a sense of what you're interested in by the questions you prepare for beforehand, and that's really important. But all of us live on campus in boarding schools, so we just want to find a human that we want to live in the dorm with, have in our advisee group or at our lunch table. So that's really what all the conversation is about, is just learning more about you. So again, a plug for visiting campus when students are there. You can wait until an accepted student day, which we do in the spring. So typically late March, early April, we'll have chances for accepted students to come to campus and spend an entire day on campus with a student host. You'll go to the classes, you'll go to the dining hall, you'll go to the after school activities depending on your interest. And I think just getting a sense of the community and the students that you'll see. I'll admit I'm someone that doesn't thrive wearing a blazer, but some people like get out of bed just wanting to put a blazer on. So just like know what you're looking for and what kind of environment you want to be in. These are some real pictures of Mercersburg in action. So you can see it's a little more casual, but you'll be able to see like what dorm rooms look like, what the classroom environment is, and then the dining hall is so important as well. So just make sure that you try to get on campus or check out our websites. I'd say technology has helped us tremendously in allowing families to get a little bit of a peek with YouTube channels, social media, and just kind of getting a sense of what the community is about. So definitely check out all of those platforms if you aren't able to come to campus in person. I will also advise, so if you do want to show up in a blazer, that's wonderful. I love formal attire, but you can also just dress like the student body. So all of these boarding schools will put their student handbooks on the website so you can see what the dress code is for each school. And just as an example, you might want to dress up a little nicer just to make a good impression, but like you're also welcome to dress like the students when you come and kind of get a sense of what that's like to be on campus wearing school dress. It can feel a little casual, but we're also very used to working and interacting with students that are dressed this way. So just something to have in the back of your mind. I think it makes the experience a little more comfortable when you're out on tour with a student guide that's probably going to be dressed like this. So you don't feel like you're standing out. So we do just want you to be comfortable when you're on campus. And like I said earlier, I think questions are the most important thing to prepare beforehand. You are already yourself. You can practice talking about yourself beforehand, but it's the questions that really give us a sense of what you're interested in. So not only when you're with your admission counselor, but when you have the chance to go out on a tour with a student tour guide, that is such an important moment where you can really get a sense of what the students are like. Asking about traditions is something I always encourage kids to consider. I think it gives you a sense of the culture and what has like stood the test of time through the years as far as what traditions matter. And it's also such a neat thing that connects our current students to our alumni. We have Irving Marshall Week. It's what I hear mentioned on tours all the time. I did what I call a professional sabbatical. So I went into athletics for a hot second before I went back into admission work. And when I was working in athletics, every time, regardless of whether it was a varsity athlete or someone that preferred to do the arts, they'd be talking about Irving Marshall Week when they walked past my office. And it's a really fun time. The whole school is divided into two societies. So you're either in Irving or Marshall, and there's a whole week of competition before you leave for spring break. So little things like that really give you a sense of what the community is like. And Q&A. Is that good? Okay, let's see. Any questions about the interview now that I told you how important questions are? Okay, I will also add this note. We did an interview day at Mercersburg 2 weekends ago, and I was sitting in the lobby while all of the parents for the students that had interviewed, were in the lobby. The parents were in with the admission counselor, and I just said like, hey guys, hope you enjoyed your visit. Can I just ask you a quick question? And everyone's in there like sitting, reading a yearbook, student newspaper, something along those lines. And I said, who was more nervous than they needed to be for their interview? And everyone raised their hand. So I know it's natural to be nervous. It's just a sign that you care about what you're about to do. And nerves can be a good thing because it just means it's important to you. Just know that we're expecting you to be a little nervous, and we're all going to be friendly. And we really do want you to like us as much as you want us to like you. It's really important to an admission counselor. And they're always going to be friendly and care about teenagers. Okay, sound good? Nope. Yeah, question. Right. Yes. So the question was, does this apply to all schools, whether the admission counselor will be friendly? And I will say Mercersburg is the most friendly place in America. Just kidding, but maybe. And yeah, I think that's very true. work in admission because we want to share about like why boarding schools are such an important piece. We're an opportunity for students, and we're just really excited to get to know the kids that will spend more time with us after they enroll. So yeah, no one works in a school that's just like cranky and does not like children. I promise that. So even when you're walking around on tour, as an example, our studio art teacher is notorious for jumping out of her classroom and like talking to a tour for way too long. But she's so enthusiastic to meet prospective families, and it's a great person to have in our community. So yeah, I will say that's a blanket statement for all. And if you find any cranky people, let me know. I'll let them know.
We happen to have the right academic result. However, when the interview, we happen not to answer the right question at the time because we're too nervous to answer. What would that be weighting in terms of the admission process?
So we are aware of the cultural differences that different types of students will bring to our school. I think it's a totally fair question. She didn't embarrass you, I promise. So I think it's, we are aware of it as admission counselors. So we don't expect a student to be like the perfect interviewee. All we're saying is just like, these are our notes, these are our suggestions, but like just be the best version of you. And I'm incredibly shy. I'm up here with a microphone, but I promise I am. Like I said, I'm really bad at talking about myself, but I know that people can tell that I'm still paying attention. So like as long as a student seems engaged, we can kind of pick up on those indicators. If they fall asleep, it'll be a different story. But yeah, we kind of understand all of those cultural differences with different types of applicants that are looking at our schools. Yeah.
Thank you. It doesn't mean that every Thai student would do that, but just...
Well, yeah, no, it's an important question. Yeah. Great. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your time. Oh, please, you don't need to clap for me again, but thank you. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great afternoon. Thank you for attending this event and this presentation specifically.